Welcome back. This is going to be our last machining operation for the mill. We already completed our drilling operation, and we're going to complete our pocketing operation next. The drilling is going to give us a little hole for us to mill around, so we don't damage or break a tool. One of the things that we're going to start switching between our visual settings. So one of the things you want to do is you want to switch it over to wireframe and kind of inspect this part after our operations to make sure that we're not going to be drilling all the way through this part. Okay, we just want to be drilling down to the bottom here and coming back out, and this looks pretty good. What we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and do our, I'm going to select the corner here. We're going to go ahead and mill this all out. So I'm going to flip it back to our visual setting and shaded with visible edges only. That looks good. That's what our standard setting is. So we can go in and we're going to mill all the way down to this bottom feature. But we are going to select, if we select the entire right side of this, we're going to mill a diameter of this part right here, the smallest diameter that we can mill. So we're going to first go to 2D adaptive clearing, and the area we're going to select is going to be the tool we're going to select. You can do the number 9 or the number 10 tool. If I exit out of this, it is the 10 is the, sorry, the 9 or the 8. I'm sorry, 9 or the 8. The 8 is the 1/2 inch. Single flute end mill, the 3/4 inch will work. It'll cut a little bit faster and it'll cut a bigger area. So you can go ahead and select the number 9 tool, select OK. And after you've selected it, make sure coolant is disabled, and we're going to kind of flip through these. The geometry we're going to select is going to be, I know it's going to be really difficult to tell what line I'm grabbing, but I'm actually grabbing right here, and it isn't the very bottom of it. It is this like the smallest inside diameter is where I'm grabbing. You have to grab the smallest inside diameter. There's not an option to it. Then over here for our depth, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a selection, and we're going to select the very bottom of this. So if you go ahead, you can just select this line or that bottom, very bottom face. And it should now cut this entire feature away from the top all the way down to the bottom. We may also have to put the stock top, which is predetermined, but we might need to make a selection and do model top. Or we may even need to do a selection here and select this top feature. I don't think we're going to need to worry about that. So, but you can go ahead and do that. So we have the top selected, the bottom selected, because we need to mill all that out. And stock to leave, we're not going to do any stock to leave, but we are going to do multiple depths. And 0.400, we want to do about half of the diameter of the mill. So 0.375 is about a pretty good number that we're going to cut out. Tolerance, we should change the 4 to a 1, so it's 1/1000th tolerance. Optimal load is 0.3, that looks good. Cutter radius 0.075. No stock to leave, and linking. I'm pretty happy with the helix, the 2-degree ramping angle. All this stuff looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to minimize this, click this, and select OK. Now let's see what ends up happening. We're going to kind of go through and we're going to mill out this entire section, every single step down, the whole way down. It looks like the first cut might be a little bit deep, but let's take a look at this. The only way to really determine what's going on inside is go back to visual settings and go back to wireframe and select this. So these all look like they are about 0.375 apart. They're all equidistant apart. And then there's a final operation at the very bottom, and it looks like it's going to completely clear this all the way out. It also doesn't appear right now that it's going to be cutting away too much on this inside. We're not like, we didn't select these contours, so we're not going to cut out all this material. It looks good. You kind of have to do this in order to determine if our cutting is going to cut away too much of the material. The next thing you're going to do is going to be a simulation. You're probably going to want to do 2 simulations. One, that's going to look like we're going to take off the toolpath and we're going to turn on stock. And we're going to play this all the way through. And you can increase the speed. And determining what we have, you can kind of see that we just barely cut away. We're just right at that line. We didn't leave any stock. From what I'm seeing right here, it doesn't look like we're cutting into the material at all. It looks really good. If you want to go ahead and do another one with no toolpath and maybe just or click the toolpath on and play it through, so you can kind of see like, okay, well, like right about here, are we cutting? Are we gonna hit anywhere in here? Are we gonna hit the side of our part? So, and it doesn't really look like it. So we're right in here. So I think that we're pretty. Let's slow it down a little bit more. And it doesn't really look like we're going to end up hitting this side of this part, but it's always good to do a full inspection here and determine if we're going to hit. And it doesn't, it looks like we have a little bit of clearance still, and it's just going to go ahead and cut this whole thing out. So it's always a good idea to go through and just inspect what each of these cutting paths is going to look like and make sure we're not going to, like right here, I think we're going to be pretty good, you know. So, you know, you kind of see that the tool is just right on that line. We're not over that line out here, so we should be in pretty good shape. That's all you're going to do today. Once you're done, you can flip it up, hit the Control S to save it, and that is all we're going to go over today.